What is a red flag to see in someone's home? Story number 1. I was invited to a co-worker's housewarming party, and everything seemed normal at first. The place was nicely decorated, music was playing, snacks were laid out. But as I started looking around, I noticed something strange. All the picture frames were stock photos. You know those sample families that come with the frame? I thought maybe they just hadn't gotten around to putting in real photos. But then I noticed the same thing on the fridge. Pictures of their family that I could tell were cutouts from magazines. I mentioned it to another friend who shrugged it off, but when I peeked into their bedroom, I saw a whole collage of magazine clippings on the wall with random faces like celebrities and strangers. It was as if they created this entire imaginary family. I left that party wondering if I'd just stumbled into someone's very curated double life. Story number 2. One of my best friends from middle school invited me to spend the night one weekend, and their house was so unbelievably nasty. It was more than just trash and dirty clothes all over the place. My friend's older sister had a baby, and they even had dirty diapers and food scraps throughout their apartment. Aside from some odd behavior from their mom, who was gone pretty much the whole time we were there. We went swimming in their apartment pool that same weekend, and my friend told me that her mom actually had a drug problem, and she sometimes just wouldn't see her for days at a time. So now I think any unusual amount of trash could indicate a serious issue. Someone there must really be going through something in order for their house to be looking like that. Story number 3. A kid I dated in high school lived with his grandparents, and their house was infested. He always smelled kind of funny, and I never could figure out what it was, until I came over one night to have dinner. You opened the front door, and they were all over the walls. They immediately scattered when the light hit them. Dead ones, dangling in cobwebs and crunching underfoot, and the smell. Roach infestations smell. And that smell stuck to my then-boyfriend. In his clothes, in his hair. They had one of those built-in radios with speakers in the ceilings, and the tuner dial on the radio face was full of egg casings. Roaches were in the microwave, fridge, dishwasher, stove, in the digital clock faces of those appliances. They were everywhere. We had taco night. I was helping prep things in the kitchen. You couldn't set food down on the table without roaches immediately scurrying towards it. I did my best to power through. We sat on the couch to eat. Boyfriend went to take a bite, and I saw something moving in his bowl. A roach covered in sour cream. Lost my appetite. I didn't go back there. The house was a manufactured home and apparently had some damage to the flooring that his grandparents could not afford to fix. Plus, they had pets in the house and were both mildly disabled. In addition to that, could not afford whole house treatment. It was a perfect recipe. This kid slept on a mattress with a blanket and no sheet and a pillow that was brown and yellow. Chris, if you're reading this, I hope your grandparents were able to get help and fix their home, and I hope you were able to move out and away. No human or animal deserves to live in those conditions. Story number 4. I once went over to a friend's place to hang out, and everything seemed normal until I noticed their massive bookshelf. I love books, so I walked over to check it out, but as I got closer, I noticed something unusual. It wasn't filled with novels or classics, but instead, an impressive and very public collection of adult comics and magazines. Not only that, but the entire top shelf was reserved for limited editions, all meticulously organized by genre. Right next to it, a reading chair and a tiny lamp, almost like a personal reading nook. As I tried to play it cool, they casually walked over and started giving me recommendations, pointing out their favorite story arcs like it was a normal book club. Let's just say it was hard to keep a straight face, and I started reconsidering all those times they'd offered to lend me a book. Story number 5. I was house-sitting for a family friend once, and they left me a list of things to take care of, like watering the plants and feeding the cat. Seemed pretty straightforward. But when I went to the laundry room to grab some detergent, I opened the wrong drawer. And there it was, a whole stash of lingerie. And I don't mean just a few things. It was a drawer dedicated solely to some of the most elaborate lace-covered outfits I'd ever seen. Some still with tags. It wouldn't have been so weird, except this was the laundry room, and they were meticulously folded in a drawer marked seasonal linens. I couldn't look at that family friend the same way again, and every time they mentioned their seasonal closet organization, I had to fight back a laugh. Story number 6. I once got invited by a guy to come to his house after class to take some shots and chill until the party we were both going to in the evening. I walk into this apartment and every inch of counter is covered with dirty dishes. The sink is stacked at least a foot above the rim. There was no sponges, no soap, either dish or hand, and nothing that would signal a plan to do dishes like a drying rack. He scrounges around in the piles and finds 2 shot glasses, wipes them off with his shirt, and proceeds to fill-set them with vodka. I faked a call to get the fuck out of there. The kicker, homeboy, lived with his 2 sisters. I don't even. It was not until years later when I took on a couple projects doing Section 8 housing remodels for a housing authority that I found worse. This standard of living in America blew my mind only for it to be blown again about 8 years later. I don't come from a rich place, but I swear even the degenerate alcoholics of my country don't live like this. Story number 7. I will never forget in high school going to a boyfriend's grandparents' house and his room there, and how quickly I stopped in the doorway because he had a huge-ass Confederate flag on his wall over his bed. I don't remember what all I said, but he told me he saw no problem with it, and he believed black people weren't as smart as white people. I walked 4.1 miles home. I never told my parents because I was so mortified I had no clue he was like that until I went to his home. Also, rednecks with police scanners in their home. Embarrassed to admit this one because I was so naive and dumb. I kept asking a different high school boyfriend and his mom and grandparents why they needed one and they dodged answering. Just some stuff about having a right to know. Rural area, nothing happened. I had no clue that he was the school's biggest drug dealer. I knew my friends OD'd and one died. I didn't know that's how he was involved. I dated him for 7 months and didn't know he was using me for my backpack as a bank to hide the money transactions. I kept wondering how I managed to save up so much allowance from lunch money and the 2 people who froze because I demanded to know why they were stealing my lunch money from my backpack when I caught them. Don't be naive or dumb like I was in high school. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed these crazy stories, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and share with your friends. Got a story of your own? Drop it in the comments below. We'd love to hear it. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring those Reddit threads. See you soon.